Hi everybody, welcome back to Teacher Mentoring Meets the 21st Century. I am Cinda Fickert, your YouTube designer and facilitator. Today we're going to cover part 2 of the assessment topic, and it's going to be on formative assessment. If you missed part 1 of the assessment topic, it is on the YouTube channel, so if you just search for Teacher Mentoring Meets the 21st Century, it'll pop up and you will find part 1, which was on pre-assessment. So if you haven't given that a look, go check it out because I'm going to reference some things from that video in this second part of the assessment topic. So looking at formative assessment through the lens of mentoring novice teachers who have just completed a teacher training program, I would expect them to have a fairly good understanding that formative assessment gauges student learning during the unit, that it's a series of progress checks, if you will. One thing that I would really recommend they do is reflect on their teaching strategies. Which strategies did they use that students learned and retained the most information? And obviously the individualized feedback and instruction. I think one of the biggest things with formative assessment is a lot of times we collect the data and then we don't really know what to do with it. So I would steer the novice teachers towards methods of collecting the data and then what do you do with it afterward. I'm going to refer back to the 3 methods I used in the first video. I think all of these can be revisited as formative assessment. Freyr's model, you can use that as a pre-assessment, as I mentioned, but you can also go back to it and use it as an exit slip or use it as a note-taking guide for individuals, your class, to put in their notebooks. The Think, Pair, Share, if they update their Google Doc or whatever you use to demonstrate their understanding, they can go back and update it periodically throughout the unit. I like a Google Doc because it makes it really easy and collaborative, and I can go back and look at it pretty much anywhere. And again, concept maps, they can do the same thing with their concept maps. You can give it back to them, and remember I said use either sticky notes or index cards. They can go back and adjust it, and they can maybe do some new mapping on it that they hadn't done before. So all 3 of those, I think, can be revisited as a form of formative assessment in addition to a pre-assessment. But what I did for this is I collected 3 different strategies because I didn't want to just revisit the same 3. So this was always one of my favorite. Now, I'm going to say this is really good for fluency skills when students just have to know vocabulary or math facts or science, any kind of factual information that's got to be automatic and it's got to be fluent. So you separate into 2 circles. The inside circle turns and faces a partner on the outside circle. And each student has 2 or 3 flashcards. Depending on the topic, you may make that more or less. And they take turns answering each other's questions. And as a teacher, I kind of rotated around the circles, listening to student answers, listening to who was fluent and who was answering immediately and who was still struggling a little bit. I did this because I taught math, I did this with integers, I did this with multiplication and division facts. I've used this in a pretty wide variety of ways. Make it fast, make it no more than 30 seconds, if that long, and I just kept a whistle with me and I set a timer and we just rotated automatically. When I blew my whistle, 1 circle moves, they both don't move, so if you move the inside circle, don't move the outside circle. Strategy 2 for a formative is minute to map it. And you give students key concepts or vocabulary, and you give them 60 seconds of doing nothing but thinking and planning out how they're going to do their map. And then you give them 60 seconds to create the concept map. You can judge a lot by what students know when you start having them put those words on their own into an individual concept map without allowing for that group discussion. Again, exit slips or volunteers to display theirs. Strategy 3, this is me, you, we. And so basically I pick the first question. I would write that on the board and I would give them a minute, maybe 2 minutes to answer the question that I give them. And then I want the students to tell me a personal connection they've made with the content. And then the third one is we. And what they do is they turn their paper over, and as a group, they all choose 3 facts that they've covered in the unit that they feel like they know well enough to write down that, hey, yes, we know this. And so I collect those, and it gives me an idea of what have they absolutely gotten a hold of during the unit, and maybe what other work do I need to do moving forward. So those are my 3 strategies. The next part of this, I put together some resources for you. So the first ones are some videos. If you don't know Dylan William, I highly recommend watching that interview with him. The Engage New York series is just one link to many videos. You can pick and choose grade level and subject to get many hands-on practitioner examples of using formative assessment to guide instruction. Websites, these are all really pretty good if you just want a quick snapshot of some formative assessment strategies. I did try to include some that were technology based. As far as suggested readings, I obviously had to go with Black and William as one of the options because they've done so much research on formative assessment and the power of formative assessment. This 2009 article that I've referenced here is an update to their 1998 research. So it's a good place if you just want a snapshot of their original research and how it's evolved in the years in between. The Hacking Assessment, 10 Ways to Go Gradeless in a Traditional Grade School by Star Sackstein is a really good collection of immediately applicable formative assessment strategies. You can pick it up, read it, and try something right away. That concludes my section on formative assessment. As always, please leave your comments, including suggestions, experiences, or any other advice or strategies you might have to offer. This is a collaborative project, so the more people that participate, the better the channel will be. Feel free to share it with your colleagues. Email me if you have anything else you would like to suggest. And thank you for taking the time to watch the video.